Hi there, I'm going to be really quick. Here's some little bit of information for you. There is a bit of lag on my camera, so I do apologize that in advance. I can't figure out how to stop it. So first of all, I would like to say, please subscribe to my channel down below. That big red subscribe button will subscribe you to my channel for more videos like this one. And if you wanted to see the last video from this, you can do by clicking on the last video tab right there. That will take you to the last video that I have ever produced. And of course, if you want to have this for audio only and have it on your iTunes, you can do by clicking that link, that annotation down below right there. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'm sure I'm going to make another one of these videos at the very end of the video. It is an hour long and it is audio only, so I do apologize about that. We haven't got video yet, but we will do soon or later, depending. I don't know really. See you later. Right, this is the weekly podcast. Enjoy. Welcome to the weekly podcast, episode number 4 with Mike and Alex from 98 Problems. It's a brand new comedy podcast that basically looks at all of your problems and talks about it in a half an hour to an hour show. It is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I know you will definitely enjoy listening to their podcast too. It was brilliant. I mean, definitely check out the one with Adam Carolla in it. It was so funny. I was in hysterics. I was actually trying to do some design work and actually couldn't actually do it because I was in hysterics. Definitely go check them out today. You can go find their website out by going to www.98problems.co.uk, and you can tweet at them at 98probs and let them know how you like this podcast as well. Go tweet them there as well. Our sponsor is audioboom.com. Go and check them out as well. Go over there. Plans start from just £7 a month and allows you to upload audio podcasts straight to their service and upload it directly to iTunes using their RSS feeds. You can create your own channels and your own podcasts, and it's absolutely amazing. It's the service that we're using to upload and design these podcasts as well. It's absolutely fantastic, so go check them out today. This is our conversation with Mike and Alex. Enjoy.
Because we decided we wanted to do one. I think I'd just been someone's best man, so I just done a best man speech at a wedding. So I immediately obviously thought I was a comedian, naturally, and then I wanted to do some stand-up stuff, and I started writing some stuff, and I was like, I'm never going to go and do it. So hello, Mike.
Hello. Sorry, I'm a bit late.
Oh, that's all right. It's not like I rushed back to be here on time or anything. So no, it's fine, mate.
Out for my control.
No, don't worry.
Hello, Jack.
You're right.
Good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It was out of my control.
Was there a cow on the loose or something?
There was 2 actually.
I guessed it. He doesn't live on a farm. He's just got a couple of cows.
I just live in Norfolk, and then therefore there's cows.
Yeah. So how are you both?
Good.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, very good, thanks.
So what got you started doing podcasting?
Well, that's a good question. Alex, do you want to take this one, or are you happy?
So for me, I was a best man at someone's wedding. Did a speech that about 5 to 10% of the audience thought was hilarious. So I thought I was going to be a comedian off the back of that. and I started writing some jokes that I found funny, and I think I started chatting to you, Mike. Didn't I? I knew you were into podcasts and that. I'd not really listened to any, and then I just sort of said, "Shall we do something?" And then we sort of took it from there, didn't we? We knew we wanted to have some kind of angle on it. We didn't know what, so we did a few sort of practice ones, didn't we?
Yeah. So Alex kind of sort of called me out of the blue, or I don't know, emailed me or Skyped me or something, and said, "Do you want to do a podcast?" And I was much more interested. I had listened to a lot of podcasts, and so I was like, "Yeah, no, that sounds good," but I'm a bit worried about how much time it's going to take us. So we came up with an idea originally, which was the local news detectives, where we would go. We would find local news stories and talk about them, and we kind of stayed away from doing anything like voices or anything, wasn't it, Alex? It was just me and you talking. Yeah. And then, of course, we then recorded an episode, and we're like, well, this would be better if we rung up. And we used to play a lot of characters and record them during our sort of uni years and just after. So you said, well, let's speak to that character, which the original ones were Sammy and Bob, I think, weren't they?
I remember the one that I remember that sort of made me think we should do it, whether he's not the first one or not, is that guy who was a farmer and his dog drove the quad bike into a main road. And then we're like, well, let's ring this guy up. And Mike had this kind of farmer kind of voice.
Yeah. Which was, and that's why, although I hope we don't get in trouble, that's why he's Tommy Ham.
Because that's his actual real name of the farmer, isn't it, from that news story?
Yeah.
That I just was wetting myself through the whole of you doing this rant. And then we kind of decided that, we should make a show that is like a sort of community of people, because we'd filmed started a sitcom, kind of like a fake documentary sitcom like years ago that was like a village of characters. So we had this kind of bank of characters.
Yeah, and that was where Bob came from, and Sammy, the intern Sammy that we have. So that was really the basis of it. So we then kind of went away, didn't we? We'd recorded like 3 episodes at that point, and we just sort of binned them. We hadn't put any out or anything. Hadn't put any out on the iTunes. Yeah. And we said, well, let's sort of redo it. And you came up with the thing. I said, well, why don't you just do it like first world problems? You know, each week someone has a problem, and then we do it from there. So that's kind of how it happened. Really, it's quite an organic process. And if you listen to our early ones, it's they're very phone call in, like a call in show, isn't it? So like Ethel was in the first show, which we just literally made up sort of that day, and obviously intern Sammy's there, and then and we launched from there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So what backgrounds do you both have? Were you already in sort of like the entertainment industry, or were you just, this is something that you wanted to do?
So we both met at university. We were both studying film there, and we did spend a lot of time and university resources on making short comedy videos to make ourselves laugh. So there was a lot of random ones in there, wasn't there, Al? There was Harry Potter talks to...
Oh, yeah.
Who was that?
Hitler, was it?
Hitler. Harry Potter talks to Hitler.
And like a guy who was like a cat. I was like a guy, and I was doing all cat stuff, and you were like a dog.
Yeah, we were like humans. Well, we were just as if 2 guys would just sit on a sofa and have a chat about their day. But as it slowly dawns on you as you watch it that one's a cat and one's a dog, you know, it's like, going to look apart. You know?
Yeah, I didn't. What was it? I didn't. No, I could get down from the tree. It wasn't that. So stuff.
I didn't want to.
like random stuff like that. Yeah, and there was kind of, what was there? I know there was another one. I can't remember the other ones, but. Yeah, I think the Harry Potter chats to Hitler conversation was...
it was quite funny, wasn't it? Yeah, and Harry was trying to show how hard he was, sort of thing, and was talking about how he saw Voldemort buying salad in Tesco's or something. It was just absolute nonsense. But so that kind of got us into it, and then we sort of left university, and I sort of do animation now. That's what I'm an animator.
All right.
And and do that kind of thing, and obviously sort of films kind of linked with that, and so I kind of I'm still in that kind of area. And we left university, and Al, you tell about what you do.
So I do design and marketing and web promotions and stuff. So I'm like a freelance internet marketing consultant, basically.
All right.
So yeah, we're both kind of got our own. So we don't do a 9 to 5 each. So we can't. Although it's you have kind of less spare time working for yourself. You do have that kind of flexibility. Although to be fair, we don't record anything during the day anyway, so that makes no odds really. But we do. We'll can chat to each other on Skype during the day, and then like today we're writing. Mike was writing an episode about something, and then so he sent it over, and then and then I do the same for him as well. It's really good for them to read it, and then just have a couple of ideas that lead to a couple of jokes, and so we kind of write stuff over Skype.
Well, I'm studying web design at university at the moment. So hearing you both doing these different things, it kind of makes me sound like, oh, I know what you're talking about for first, which is quite nice, which is cool. So you do animation then?
Yes.
So what sort of animation do you do? Do you do words? Every podcast, I think it is. It's my words just run out. No,
it's good. It's good skill to have, isn't it? When it's just you should do radio as well, because that's word related.
Yeah. With animation, do you do 2D animation or do you do 3D animation?
So I do a lot of 2D animation. That's what they might call your bread and butter. But also I do start to do more and more 3D animation. But to be honest, the lines are quite blurred. You know, you'll look at something and think that's 3D and it'll be 2D, and vice versa. But I'm doing more and more 3D animation these days. Or in most projects, it's a mix. You never do just one. You know, 'cause there's always stuff to be done. But like, I use program Cinema 4D, which is an amazing program. That's like a 3D program. And oh dear, what was that? Why are you saying oh dear?
I'm a 3ds Max.
Well, I think we need to end this interview.
Are you a Mac or a Windows, or are you?
You must be Mac, are you?
No, I'm Windows.
Oh,
I do Mac stuff.
Are gonna have a fight. This is like we do. It's
a war of words.
You're like the two polar opposites of each other.
Well, I like a Mac, but it just isn't strong enough for what I want it to do.
Yeah, because I throw mine against the wall, and the Macs just break, don't they? It's just useless. Whereas you get a Windows one, just lob it about, tough as
nails.
So that's why I'm a Windows man, mate. Because
you're missing out. No, I understand that with Mac, you've got to spend a lot more to get the same computing power that you would get for a cheaper PC. So I do understand that, but
you're wrong.
You're wrong.
No, I work on Macs at my university. That's part of my course, to work on Macs, and I've got my own little MacBook that I like to do stuff on. But I've got a Windows PC that I do all of my bulk of my work on.
Yeah, because it'd be quite sort of intensive kind of work if you're using 3D Studio Max.
Yeah. I mean, like for web design, which is what I'm studying, I had to do 3D stuff for my motion graphics. It's a weird course that I'm on. I'm studying web design, but I've done all these different fields. But I was doing motion graphics for one of my scenes, and I used 3ds Max, and the guy in there was like, "Oh, why are you using 3ds Max for?" I'm like, "Because I know how to use it." And he was like, "Why didn't you use Cinema 4D? It's the better program." And I was like, no. Don't start this up.
I think it sort of swings and roundabouts these days. I think you can use anything with anything. I think it's just what you want to do. Like Cinema 4D, though, it's sort of plug and play. It's just so quick, And when you've got tight deadlines, or you're quoting on stuff, it's just great for me, because it just you can get in there and it's really good for experimenting, which I'm sure anyone would say that about Maya or about 3D Studio Max, but I can see what arguments for all of them. Really, it comes down to anything, doesn't it? You wouldn't. Sometimes you want a hammer, sometimes you want a saw.
Yeah. So, Alex, you work freelance then, yes?
Yeah.
So you know the pain of working freelance.
Yeah.
So some days you have work and some days you don't.
Yeah. So I've done the 9 to 5 as well. So I know the pain of that as well. And I'm quite fortunate that some of my work that I do on site and some of it's on retainer. So today I was with a client all day on site with them. So I'm quite fortunate at the moment. After however many years it's been, that it's kind of always busy at the moment. But yeah, there have been times where I've been sat at home, literally at my mum's house because I have no money. My cat ate the elastic things you have on chicken.
All right.
So he went next door, ate one of those for a laugh. I didn't have him insured. It was either suffocate him in a bag or pay £700 to get it cut out. And he's sat next to me right now. Can I swear? Am I allowed to say?
Yeah. You can say what you like.
Licking his arsehole, just saying, yeah, mate. Anyway, so in that situation, having to pay out that, having no work, literally living at home, with no.
So that was a few years ago. That wasn't yesterday.
No, when was? No, that wasn't yesterday. No. So I've gone through that.
You've made a good recovery.
Yeah. I've got him insured. So, but then nothing's happened since getting him insured. So that was probably 5 years ago. Maybe five years ago, something like that. So yeah, I've been in every situation there is. So I'm quite touch wood. Everything's going very well at the moment. So very busy at the moment. But I have been there.
I think though, like just talking about the fact that we're both kind of freelancers, we both sort of work for ourselves and have kind of got that kind of work ethic. I think when we said we're going to do a podcast, we literally were like, right, do a website. Al built the website and really quickly. We knew what we had to do to get things going, and we're willing to kind of get out there and move on. I think if we'd have done the podcast 6-8 years ago, I think we wouldn't have really have understood what we needed to do. Like, we wouldn't have the skills to just be able to go, right, we need to do this. I do all the little cartoons and stuff like that. So it all kind of feeds into each other.
Mm-hmm. In fact, actually, we kind of did although it wasn't back in the MySpace days, we had this thing called Lemon Shoes. Do you remember that, Mike? Which was like a radio show, essentially. We would. It was
John Lemon and Malarkey Jones.
Yeah, John Lemon and Malarkey Jones. So we had this thing where, essentially, it was a podcast before sort of podcasting was a thing, I guess. Where we would, and then we borrowed again the equipment from the uni, like the sound recording equipment for the film stuff, and record this radio show, and we'd do sketch shows for that. And so we kind of gave up on that after about 3 episodes or something, because we didn't know, like, we had a MySpace profile, we didn't know anything about marketing it or having any sort of online presence. So a couple of our friends watched it, and that was about it. So if you think how far we've come since then, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like, what I'm doing now is kind of linked to what I want to do. So with web design and things like that, you get to learn to do the branding, the marketing, and the design of the stuff. And it's kind of useful, to be honest, because now you've got, like, you get given, like, this design eye, and you sit there and you're like, right, I'm going to build a website, but I'm not going to use Wix, because Wix, although they say it's a brilliant service, isn't quite what you want. And you want something that you can, like, in the end of the day, edit the code or something like that.
Yeah, so
and that's what I'm looking for at the moment.
So WordPress would be exactly what you want, because it's open source code. It's all PHP. Yeah. So you just install WordPress on your server. You can either go out and buy a theme that you can edit.
ThemeForest is amazing. Yeah,
if you go on ThemeForest, and then the code is all open source, so you can just go in and edit all the PHP, the header, the footer, whatever you want to do with it, the CSS or whatever, or you can just do it as it comes. So basically, it's kind of like there's not really much point in sort of coding sites from scratch now, because you've got this kind of you've got that kind of structure there. So it's like your WordPress is your canvas, and then you sort of build on that. And if you can edit code, then you can edit that, and you can.
Like last week in one of our lessons, we were actually learning about one of the subjects. I didn't want to do it, but a lot of people wanted to do it, which is called wireframing, which is basically like there's a program that Twitter brought out called Bootstrap.
Yeah,
and basically what that is basically they've coded out the entire website, but if you know what each bit was or is listed as, you can make a whole new website out of the code that they have supplied for you.
Yeah,
and I kind of think that's useful for like if you're on a tight deadline, like you say, but not when you're like, I want to design a website like this. I like hand coding stuff, so that's me.
I think their companies will do that because everyone's so hot on user experience, so they'll do the workflow or the sort of the customer journey, and they'll wireframe it out so non-designer people could then work out, I want this and that here, because it will navigate. And then, so it depends if you're going to work in a massive company, say like, I don't know, you think like someone like Thomas Cook, for example, they'll have a team of people that will wireframe it because they're doing the user experience, and then the designer will take that and design over the top of it. So it depends really what sort of clients you work with. If you work with like small businesses, then you're not going to bother doing that because it will just be you working on it on your own. Or if you're working with a massive team, that people will want to wireframe it. But I just think it's a waste of time, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I work freelance at the moment. I've just started working freelance from a company that came out of the university course that I was on. I was recommended by my teachers, which was quite nice. And I'm started doing work for them, but I'm starting to see the problems with working freelance because 1 minute I have a client, and next minute they suddenly go, oh no, I don't want to have to do this, or don't want to have to pay out this much for this.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to drop yourself and be like, oh, I started doing this work, but now I'm not getting paid for it then.
So always take a deposit. always take half up front. Otherwise you don't do it. It's a waste of your time.
And that's a good way to find out if they're really serious and if they've got the money, because not everyone's going to be a customer to you. It's great to go, I want 50% up front. If they go, no problem, that's a good person. They value what you're going to do for them. If they don't give the 50%, when you think, wow, they're not really that serious anyway.
Right. Yeah, you've got to be strong about that. That's the one biggest lesson I'd say. If your website's what you want to do, and then get the deposit up front and do a design or something that they sign off, and do a contract where this is the site that you're going to build for this amount.
Which it doesn't have to be in UK law. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a signed contract, an agreement. If you can prove they've agreed, just have it in email. So email. If you send them a design, he's done in Photoshop or whatever, and you say, this is what I'm going to build for this amount. Anything else that you want to change will cost you X amount per hour, because people will just take the piss. And people don't know what they want until they see something, and then they'll see a shiny new website that's completely different from what they asked for, and they'll be like, oh no, now I want it like this, and you got to start again. And they've got to realise that they're not paying for a product, they're paying for your time. But you've just got to have that conversation early. I think. Yeah, definitely. And if you send an email over, just get them to reply. So if they say yes in that email they reply to, you've got that chain, and you can prove it. And
then you can take them to small claims court if you have to.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit of advice.
About podcasts.
So back to your podcast. Let's get back to the podcast. Let's get back on track.
Giving out free careers advice, Mike. It's not part of the instructional memo that I got, but I'll send you an invoice anyway for that.
So back to your podcast. So you like other podcasts, Mike? Is there any
Oh, yeah.
podcasts that you're really addicted to at the moment?
Definitely, and you were well. Actually, if I don't want to tell anyone, because if they listen to these other podcasts, they may show some similarities. So basically, when we started it, we have the fact that all Sammy's facts that end each show was really inspired by No Such Thing as a Fish. Have you heard that one? That's the QI elves do that.
I haven't. No. I'm fairly new to podcasting.
Brilliant. Right. Yeah. Well, that's definitely worth listening to, and all your listeners as well. It's amazing. They're really intelligent. Really, it's kind of QI but without the personalities. So they're just like really interesting. They're funny. I think they're all kind of going off and doing their own thing in their own right now. But that's brilliant. But basically, they bring 4 or 5 facts per episode, and they talk about them, similar to QI, really. But so when we started this, I said to Al, well, why don't we at the end of each show get Sammy to say some facts? But of course, Sammy being Sammy, they're going to be all wrong.
Yeah.
And so that really kind of let that kind of go, really, and there's quite a nice sort of rounds off the episode quite nicely. So that came from that, and then Hamish and Andy, which is an Australian podcast. I travelled around Australia for 6 months, and I'd already knew about Hamish Blake before then. But he does a radio show with a guy called Andy Lee, and they're really great. And they do a show over there, which they then kind of cut up into a podcast. So they're the two, and then the third one, which is another comedy one, which is brilliant, is John Robbins and Ellis James, which is XFM, which I think is now called Radio X, and they're so funny. They're brilliant together, and well worth the listen. And yeah, you get on there. I think on commercial radio, they get a lot more license to sort of push the boundaries a bit. Whereas if you listen to sort of the BBC, it gets a bit kind of
yeah.
You know what I mean? Bit marginalised. Is it marginalised? Is that the right word? But it's a bit toned down. It becomes all a little bit middle of the road. So
yeah.
And they all pour into the podcast. If you listen to the podcast, if you listen to all them, I'm sure things seep into it. Like because
they're your inspiration, aren't they? So obviously things like that are going to happen.
Exactly, and also because of the nature of 98 Problems, it's about problems, and it's about kind of, we're trying to always sort of pile in bits of actual life. But of course, if I'm listening to those shows all week, I can't help but filter in. I think the bin episode, which is one we did, I think it's about the 3rd episode or something, where a guy steals the bin. I think that's lifted from Hamish, the Hamish and Andy, their one. I'm sure he got his bin stolen at one point, but that was like 2 years ago. But it just, how these things just sort of seep into your life. I think I was in Australia at the time, and then when we needed a problem, I was just like, this week we just needed a problem. And I was like, oh, bins, and then that kind of gave us that episode, which is called Rubbish Neighbours, and is a sort of a starting point for an episode.
So do you think it's important, if anybody now starts doing a comedy podcast, to have a good old plan of what they're going to do before they
Alex.
start doing it?
Yeah, well,
we planned very, very, we were very strict. We followed
well, I'll one podcast that I'm listening to at the moment is called the Man by Cow podcast, and what they do is they've recorded all of series 1. And got that in the bag before they released it, and then they released it weekly whilst they were recording series 2. So then they could, each time they could say, "Oh, coming up next week is whatever." They can release it every Monday. So every Monday, I go in and check. I know it's I've got a new episode to listen to, and there's a section of that podcast which is like an audiobook. It's like a comedy thing, so it's nonsense. But they do a chapter each week. One of them writes a chapter for the book, and they alternate. So, and then there's no sort of plot. It just goes on random tangents. But then you can then buy that audiobook if you want to hear the rest of it. If you're like, oh, I really love it. So it's like a couple of quid, and then you can have so now, because season 1's just finished, you can now buy all of season 2 of that audiobook as well. And you can also, now they've got an audience, people, they can say, look, now we're releasing it every other Monday. If you want to hear all of season 2, you can buy that as well. So they're sort of monetizing that well, because they've planned Us, on the other hand, we will just get together once a week, and then literally some days. So we had an episode where we had someone on submitting a problem to us live. I think it was 6 o'clock at night, was it, Mike, or something like that?
Was that Adam Carolla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we didn't know what his problem was until we spoke to him, and then we recorded the episode 2 hours later. And then it's all just completely ad-libbed.
But I think if we just we never started this podcast. We came up with a basic idea, and then we went with it, and then we did 3 episodes of that, and then we kind of evolved it almost, and it was kind of evolving.
Changed, hasn't it? Yeah.
It's so changed from our original conception of it, and then the first couple of episodes of our podcast are very different from what we do now, but it's all part of that kind of evolution. We've never been strict, like Man by Cow is scripted, and it's it's there, and they've got this bit, and they've got this bit, and they've got this bit, which is great. And I think we are moving towards it now because we've probably nailed what we want to do with it. We kind of want this kind of more organic feel to it, but I think it takes a lot in the edit because when we did that episode with Adam Carolla, he, as you say, submitted it at 6, and then at 8 o'clock we just literally sat and we said, right, we'll do this, okay, we'll do this, and then we just ad-libbed it all. Up until the last episode or two, we've actually just ad-libbed it, the whole thing, pretty much. And then we record for about 2.5 hours, and then I edit it. But that was taking 6 to 10 hours of a week, and it was just too much for me. It's just I'm busy anyway, and so we are now slowly moving, which is I think is part of the evolution of the show, into trying to script it a bit more and kind of nail it down. And the one we've just recorded now, I've almost edited. I edited it in about 3 hours, as opposed to 10. So, yeah. Would you say, Alex? Would you?
I would say if it's your first podcast, just go and do it, and just have fun with it, and record a load of episodes. Put it out if you want to, or don't. But just don't worry about it. Like, it's not going to be perfect. Like, I listen to our episode 1 now, and I think, oh my god, that's nowhere near as good as our latest episode. But who that's only our. It doesn't matter really. We enjoy it. We have loads of fun doing it. We make each other laugh. Yeah, and then it's just part. If it was just, it's a good opportunity, a good excuse for me and Mike to get together once a week and have a laugh, really. Yeah. And then, but now we're really kind of happy with the end product as well. So my advice would be just go and do it, have a laugh, try it.
I think the biggest and most important thing is, and this is something I think we've done a lot of stuff that we haven't really put out there, and I think. Put it out there, I think 2 or 3 episodes record, maybe just to get you kind of up to speed a bit. Once you kind of think, oh well, actually this is good enough to go out, get it out there. And I think we hit a wall probably 2 or 3 episodes ago. I think we're just coming. Personally, I'm just coming out of it now. Want to get back into it, but often you'll see a lot of podcasts out there that probably release about 8 episodes, or maybe 8 to 20 episodes, and then they stop. And I've got a friend who's got it's a business podcast, but they got to about 20 and they just sort of burnt out. So I think you've got to push through that. So out there, make a podcast and just keep going, keep going with it.
Yeah. I mean, I did a podcast. It was sort of a radio podcast called Weekly Radio, which was basically me talking about weird and wonderful facts. I did it live on Spreaker. I used to do a longer show before that, but I did a half an hour live radio broadcast. I would sit there or present information, play some music that people liked, that people requested, and of course it got in 18 episodes in. And it was the same as what I had already done before as a different radio show, but kind of went off that again, and it kind of fell apart because the people who used to listen to that show are now older, so couldn't actually listen to that show live, and of course the people who are listening were actually dropping off. And so I was like, I don't actually know what to talk about because there was no plan, no preparation for it. And I'll just go live and go, okay, hello, I'm da-da-da, and just start presenting information and playing some songs that I like. And of course, it wasn't a viable option. I mean, so...
Was that a university thing, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was sort of the sort of... I don't know, I've always wanted to do like Weekly, this is the 4th generation. Most of the people that may still know me, this is the 4th generation of this business, this group thing. And it was originally called CM Broadcasting way, way, way back when I was in my 5th year at school. And from that, the name evolved with me. So I kept changing the name, which, by the way, is a problem. Which I've been told recently that I should never do that, and I've been sworn an oath that I'm not allowed to change my name anymore. But now we're called Weekly, so, and we basically tried to do what we used to do beforehand, and of course that didn't really work out for us because we were young then, and now we're not. And it's sort of like, yeah. So this is a sort of a new thing. This is the first time I'm doing something completely different from what I already know how to do. So
I think it's because you're going to be you're going to have different guests on all the time. I think it will always be something different, isn't it? So it's not like you're going to get it's not going to feel stale, I don't think.
Exactly, yeah.
And
I mean,
it's not all on your shoulders, as it were. Like, as you said, you've got to come up with content each week, but if you've got other people on there, then that can you almost sort of allow them to sort of help you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can ask you guys any question you I want, and you just.
Well, we talked about the thing with the cat and my finger, and you said, "Oh no, Ed, can you edit?"
Yeah,
I didn't stick my finger up my cat's asshole.
and you can't prove it.
Yeah.
Oh,
not this one anyway. Not.
You've had multiple.
That was the other vet.
I've got the other one's quite shy, and I don't know why. Ever since that happened, actually.
That'll probably be why. Be avoiding you like the plague. So
anyway,
so how many characters do you actually have?
Good question. There's a few that have kind of come and gone. They've died a death. Abraham Mosby.
Oh yeah, he was in one episode, wasn't he? He was an American.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's good because I don't think you need everyone to be back all the time. But I think for the fans, he might appear at some point. Which
yeah. I've done one. Sometimes I'll just come up with a new one, and then I'll just I was practicing a sort of Welsh one the other day. I might message you about it. So it's like sometimes I'll just come, and I had this idea of like this Welsh chef, probably because I was watching someone like MasterChef or Bake Off or something, and then I had a stupid joke in my head that he would have Michelin stars, but they're like Michelin tires, so he's cut stars out of Michelin tires on it. So, but then that's quite hard. It's quite a visual joke, isn't it? It's quite hard to make that. But that, and yes. He does just sound like Rod Gilbert. So whether he'll actually make an appearance or not, I don't.
I'm sure he will. I mean, I think Alex, you have loads of characters. You can always come up with new ones. I think I actually struggle a bit more to kind of. I'm not that good with accents and stuff like that. So I kind of have a bit more of a core group of characters. I probably have 4 or 5 that I really that I kind of rotate. But you say, oh, this week I'll do this guy, or this this new person. I've got a good idea for this character. So you're a bit more sort of fun and free with your characters. Yeah, how many have we got then? So I think we've got about 4 major ones each, haven't we? I think, and they're sort of our favourites that we like to go to, and kind of have as. Some of them are just funny, like Bob. I don't find Bob that funny. Anything he says, he stumbles over words and says stuff, and it's funny. There's something in there that I think is good. And Cedric as well.
Cedric's probably my favourite because he's just so natural to rant with.
And again, this is what I think we like about the show. We've never gone, right, we didn't go at the start, okay, we're going to have 4 characters each. What are yours, Alex? What are mine? We kind of went with it. So in the second episode, we were doing about dog's poo, how people aren't picking it up.
Yeah.
And my aunt had been visiting, and she likes to talk. in the nicest possible way. And she was talking about her daughter's friend who went to agricultural college with her daughter, and she was like, and then he went down to London and is now doing dog walking to the stars. I mean, he's got a massive amount of stars. I think one of them's Gary Barlow. So, but then when we came out to this episode on the night, I think I said to Al, let's get a guy in where he's a dog walker to the stars, and then Al just went with it. And he's got a dog that's Gary Barlow's, and Al just sort of went with it and created this character. And he is one of the best characters we have. You know, he just and he's always trying to slip in that Gary Barlow.
So I've got the Gary Barlow, one of my clients. Not sure if I mentioned that before, but walk his shit through now and then, sort of daily. But there we are.
So how easy is it to slip in and out of them voices?
I think we've got a little better, haven't we, Alex?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cedric's is quite easy to, but I think it's with Bob, right? I always put my, you know how a man who is of a camper nature will put his sort of palms of his hands on the back of his ribs. So if I'm doing Rock Bob, I'm always stood in that kind of fashion. So it is something that I like. And I always do it. I always find myself doing so that I have postures for each one as well, which is.
I have glasses that I don't wear all the time, but if I do Nicholas Sparrow, I always put them on because he's always adjusting his glasses. Yes, you know, I just like to adjust them and make sure I'm on topic at any one time. So we kind of always have but we're getting better, I think, as well. I think early on if you listen early on, it's literally like, and then they talk, and then they stop, and then they talk. But I think my voice is a bit too close to Sammy's voice, so if you listen, he's always sort of through the glass, the metaphorical glass, and we always put a sound effect on him. So when I talk to him, there's a bit of differentiation between me and him, because otherwise I think people do get confused of who's talking.
But I'm sure my girlfriend thinks that I do Sammy, because you were saying the other day all of your characters have got a lisp, and I was like, Cedric could potentially have one, but so I don't know if she thinks that I do Sammy, so maybe that's a...
So you both do. So you both have poses that you put on or do something. Something.
I guess so. You're sort of, because I think the strong characters like Nicholas Sparrow that you would then naturally you're identifying probably with someone that you know or someone that you've seen before, a particular amalgamation of people that you do. And then I suppose Bob came from the sitcom that we did where he was a counsellor and of the village that we were filming. So I did a lot of filming with him where I had to get into character or acting as him. So I suppose that's where.
And I do think. I think when Sammy talks, I think when I talk as Sammy, I should say, he's not real. But then when we talk to each other, we do refer to them separately, so that's a bit weird. And we also, and this is another thing, is if you listen to the podcast early on, we're probably a bit more like we are now, just chatting to you. But actually, Mike and Alex in the program, I'm definitely a lot more pushy and a bit more miserable, I think. I usually complain a lot, which I don't think I do in real life.
Well,
and
I think Alex disagrees.
The jury's out, all right. The jury's out. And I think Alex as well. You play a little bit more innocent than you probably are, and that's probably I think that's a bit easier. You got to have. And if you listen, I usually start each sort of section. I'm like, right, so now here we are at the petting zoo. You know, I'm pushing the plot forward a bit. Whereas, and I'm usually sort of picking a little bit on Alex, but then I think that's to make a little bit of comedy there. You know, I'm often like commenting about his Bambi legs or such.
Which is, have I told you that? So what I did when I was younger, I did have very thin legs, and my rugby coach did call me Bambi. Yeah.
No, I just.
I thought I must have told you that, and that's where that came from.
Did you just make that up? I can't.
No, genuinely. What is it so hard to believe that I had very thin legs when I was younger?
I just made that up when we were recording. I didn't know anything about that.
Well, that is the truth.
There you are.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think what I was just in the back of my head, I was thinking, if you're creating characters and that's something you want to do, we always find we've got to have an angle, isn't it? You can't just have a person, you can't just have a voice. You've got to have, so like, if I'm creating a new character, I'm like, he's got to be, I've got to come up with the voice, but then he's got to be someone and have some kind of
conflict.
Yeah.
He needs to, he needs to have an opinion, and he needs a kind of, he needs something that people can go, oh yeah, like Nicholas Sparrow first turned up when he was we need a pest control expert, and that's why he was a pest control expert. But he needed to be one of those know-it-all guys that get, that annoys you because he just thinks he knows it all, and but he is flawed. He's very flawed, and the same. I think Cedric gets annoyed when you listen to him. When he first comes up, he's always annoyed at Mike and Alex.
Yeah,
and that's you need to have that conflict. If you're just there going, oh hello, and you listen to a lot of sort of comedy or where people are just starting out, and you've done it. There's bits in our show which you do. If you're not careful, you kind of struggle to make it compelling. Not to say, we're still always learning, but I think if everyone gets on, it's not funny. It needs to, you look at any good comedy, it's all about people not getting on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, so there's all, and the jobs, I suppose, help, because Bob, being a council official, he's always looking at, like, clamping down on something, or being petty about stopping people from doing something because of some, he's got to have a meeting about something that's not allowed, or like, I remember filming the Village Swanson thing and measuring bunting. Like it was just meant to be. I'm just meant to be walking around. We just need some shots of Bob. I'm looking around, so I got out. I think I started measuring how the bits were of the bunting. So I thought, that sort of thing. A council, you're exaggerating, obviously massively, but you're
playing on a trope that the council are sticklers for detail and will clamp down on things. And I think it gives Bob so much room to just kind of be annoyed, or the other way that he does a lot, which is to sort of try and portray the council being not like that. He's always saying, well, no, us the council, we have we all like a laugh, but obviously it's not, because I think that works quite well.
And then it writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think Sammy being a rubbish intern, it wouldn't be any. There's no point in him being a good intern, is there? So he needs to be rubbish in order for us to get annoyed at him every week, and you need that sort of conflict, because the original character of him is the innocent one. Everyone else around it, when we recorded this thing, it was about him and his brother Ralph, who does make an appearance in the actual show, in our show. It's another guy who doesn't do the podcast with us, but came on and did like the Mermaid Hunter episode. He plays the brother, and at the end of it, you like Sammy, which I hope you do anyway. But he needs to be rubbish at his job, I think, for it to work. So you get that he's rubbish, but then there's comedy to be had, should we say?
Yeah, and then he's obviously got his own subplot as well of trying to be an art. He's trying to get it crack into the music business. So.
Yeah,
it's so easy to. So that's why if it wasn't for the editing, we wouldn't need to write any scripts, because the characters they write their own stories and it's so easy to come up with something, because that him inside out, that he's gonna, if he's doing, his excuse for doing most things is because I want to release this track, or I'm trying to get my music out there, and like what was it he was buying? Cassette Walkmans off the guy from the Greyhounds, and
Tommy Two Eyes.
Yeah, because he's a bit innocent, and he's obviously someone's conned him into buying all this thing of believing cassette tapes and he would
the way forward.
Yeah, and he was, what was it? You were in Primark trying to give them out, or
give out his demo tapes in Primark. Yeah,
but then you just came off with that off the cuff, because it was because it's so easy to write.
Yeah,
it's not written.
Sort of... No, yeah, it's just him sort of chuntering about. It's a lot easier. That's the thing. You can do anything, but if you've got characters that have a motivation. They want to do something. They aren't achieving it. That's where comedy comes from. If he goes out straight away and releases a great record, what point? You know, get him where Mike and Alex don't like him and they don't want him to release a record, but all he wants to do is release a record. You know, you've got there is comedy to be had there.
Well, we hope so. Otherwise, we're talking bollocks, and it's not funny. We're idiots. But
we should let you be the judge of that.
So on average, how long do you actually spend recording something? So for an episode, how long do you spend recording for an episode?
What, an hour and a half, Mike? Would you say?
Yeah.
A sort of standard episode where it's just you and me.
Yeah.
And then and then we'll record it. We'll be like, oh, we've got this problem. Okay, so where should we start? We'll start with probably Bob. The council will probably be against that for something or other. So let's just chat to Bob. He'll obviously have something to say, and then we'll do that bit. And we're like, all right, we'll stop there. Okay, so we should probably. Bob mentioned something, so we should go there and then meet Nicholas there because he's doing something or other there, and then then we stop and then do the next scene and then wrap it up, sort of thing.
Often, so far, all the ones we've released, we've done it like that. I think we're going to have to do a little bit more scripting just because it takes a lot to edit. 2 hours to edit down to 20 minutes. And a lot of it gets chopped and changed around, really, in order to end on a good joke or something like that. It all takes a lot, really, behind the scenes, really, once you've recorded it. But yeah, predominantly it's really just me you having a bit of trying to make each other laugh, really, isn't it?
That's it. But I'm quite. We're doing these. I don't know if you heard the latest couple of episodes are Sammy's Little Problems. So they're like 5-minute episodes, and then so we are scripting. They're completely wholly scripted, but I'm quite enjoying that as well. And then I suppose you obviously spending more time beforehand, probably not as it is making the episode shorter, but then you are having that sort of arc, and I'm quite enjoying writing those. I just there is one coming out soon, hot off the press, because I'm watching Arrow. Have you seen? Have you got Amazon Prime? Watching Arrow. It's DC Comics.
I think I started watching it when I was away.
Yeah, you have to push on through it because it is a bit tough to get into, and then but I get into it now, and I find it so funny that his backstory is almost identical to Batman, and they're both DC Comics. So I've got a joke in there about it, because there's a vigilante in this episode, but it's not quite. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a vigilante, but it's not a superhero type thing. But it's kind of taken the piss out of vigilante comic book things where it's so obvious who the hero is, and so I've got these two kind of things running alongside each other, and that was based on watching that. So yeah, I've quite enjoyable, but then I just hope we find the time, because then the episode relies on how good quality the script is, and you've got to rewrite that sort of 4 or 5 times, even for those 5-minute ones. To make it good. If you just do one draft, it's never going to be as good. That's George Lucas's problem with episode 1 and 2 Star Wars. I think you'll find, because he obviously Mike, you've sort of made this point that he obviously, with episode 4, the first one that he made, that everyone kept telling him no, go back and rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite to get it made, and so he probably rewrote that hundreds of times. Whereas when it came to the next trilogy, it was his studio. He did what he wanted. He probably wrote 1 or 2 drafts of it, and that's why it was shit.
Well, if you look at anything, if you look at any sort of creative endeavour, I think you find the best stuff always comes when you're surrounded by sort of against adversities. Like you look at the original Lord of the Rings and how much they had to fight. What they did in order to fight to get them made, and they're really good. You look at the Hobbit, everyone was pouring money into it. If you're not careful, if you're surrounded by yes men and people just going, "Oh, that's perfect," after the first draft or after, it never works as well. You look at them. the majority of stuff, like good comedy, usually is made low budget. You look at when they sort of try and pour money into these Hollywood comedies, they hardly ever work because you're not like held up against the wall and saying like, do you really want that? Is this good enough? You know, when you're fighting things all the time, you have to make it better. You know, I think almost any film. I think this is Mark Kermode. It says almost any film would be better if it was cut. If you cut 90 minutes right, because then the director would always be saying, well, justifying every single element of it. And I think that's maybe key to any creative endeavor. If you're forced to do more with less, you really, every single bit of that has got to be good. You know, you will make it good. So, and be justified for being there. So maybe we've gone a little bit in depth with that, but yeah,
it's true though. I think it's true. If you look at how good Shaun of the Dead is spaced, and Shaun of the Dead, and then compare that. Obviously, Hot Fuzz I think is brilliant, but not as good. And then World's End, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Shaun of the Dead's the best from the trilogy because it was their first film. Obviously, Edgar Wright had done a film before, but really low budget with his mates, and that was their first sort of thing together. So they put their heart and soul into it. And then the other films are still good, but it's they
had a lot more resources at that point, so they're a little bit more kind of.
People don't challenge them as much because they've already had a load of hits.
Yeah.
I think you have to. And I think that's why it's good when we send each other scripts that we go back to each other and say, it's good, but
it's missing this, or
you have to do that. So find a part. If you're going to do scripted anything, get a partner in crime.
And what you want is this is a good test. Write a script. If you think someone's going to be a good other like partner in crime, or just someone you need someone to edit it, write a script, send it over, and if they send it back saying, "Oh yeah, it's fine, it's brilliant,"
don't work with them.
Don't you work with them? If they turn around and say, I like it, but I do have some thoughts, and then that's what you want. You know, you want someone to be like who wants it to be the best. You know, for you, sort of thing. Yeah. You see what I mean? You know,
it's annoying. It's annoying. So you're like, I thought it was really good, but you have to bounce the ideas off, otherwise they'll never be as.
Yeah. And I think with our Sammy's Little Problems episode, we're still learning with them. So the first episode or two we recorded on our own, and I recorded my bit and I recorded his bit. But I think we're now going to do. We're going to record them after we talk to you actually, but we're going to do them with us both being there because the performance is so much better because. You know, you're having to perform in front of someone, and that's very different from you reading a script on your own. You know, and I think that's important for anyone who's doing comedy. I think, or from what we're learning is it's better when you need to be in that kind of headspace. You know, and for acting in general, it's good to have other people around you. It might be more. Harder work early on. You'll be more worried about that and stuff like that. But you'll get over that, and you'll be better for it.
Definitely. It's practice, isn't it?
So what's next for your podcast? Where are you going to try and take it?
To China. We're going to do no.
Mandarin. We're going to do a whole episode of Mandarin.
I think we're just going to crack on with it. We had a rebrand of it. We were speaking to a guy at the British Comedy Guide. I should get his name out. I should really say thank you to him because we'd focused on getting the podcast right, and we just we're like, we'll do some cool illustrations and it will look professional and whatever. And then we didn't think how. I'm not really answering the question here, but I'll sort of get to it. But we had just the picture that I sent you, just me and Mike, and then we sent it to this guy at British Comedy Guide. So we were looking at doing some advertising with him, and he said, "I love the show, but it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was expecting two guys with like lad banter, based on you two together. It wasn't like I would have had no idea it was this whole cast of people, and it was kind of like a scripted comedy thing. So I think the listeners that you're getting you're probably not keeping as many, so they want the lad banter, whereas you're not getting the sort of crowd that you want that will appreciate sort of this kind of show. So we stopped. I think there's a break of about sort of 3 weeks where we didn't put anything out.
because we were doing this whole rebound and thinking about all that. So yeah, we kind of dropped a few listeners, but now we're sort of back on track. So I think what our plans are, is to do one, make sure we're releasing something once a week, and then alternate between a long episode and Sammy's Little Problem. So I guess the main podcast is fortnightly, but then you get something once a week, and sort of just keep sort of having fun with it, really, getting some more. We recorded an episode with a guy who Mike's been doing some comedy stuff. You've been doing some stuff with BBC Comedy in Norwich, haven't you?
Yeah.
These sort of event days.
Yeah. So I've been doing a bit of that, and that's sort of going out. It's like a monthly thing, and but this chap who I didn't know before, but he does it as well, and so I then asked him to come on and be a guest. And actually, we had Adam Carolla, which was an amazing get. Do you know Adam Carolla, Jack?
No, I think I need.
He's kind of a big deal.
He's like the number one podcast in America. He owns
the world, Mike. The world.
The world. I think he is number. I think he might be in the Guinness Book of Records. Anyway, for many years, he has been building this podcast network over in America. He has Penn from Penn and Teller.
Yes.
The magician guy.
Yeah.
And he has quite a few other people. Well, I think he has about 8 shows on his network, and he used to work with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, he sort of.
He did a radio show with Jimmy Kimmel, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah. So he did that. So he then and he got sort of sacked from that or whatever, and started up the Ace Podcasting Network, I think it's called now, and this is massive, absolutely massive. And so I just wrote to the guy. I knew I'd heard the guy who's his sort of PA, and contact with him, and basically said, I'm a massive fan. I've listened to it for years. We've got this podcast. Would you like to do it? And I think at the time they were coming over to do some shows in the UK. So he said, I can do a 10-minute phone call with him. So I was like, this is amazing. He's a really great guy. I think he's quite abrasive, and he's very he's not afraid of saying what he thinks. So I think a lot of people in America don't like him, but there is a hell of a lot of people that do like him. And but he was really nice. He was a really nice guy, and he
really funny.
He was so funny, wasn't he? He did 20 minutes, and he just carried on going. And towards the end, he was actually driving, and he did this bit. He did it on his hands-free, and just went with and just did so much stuff, and that's the thing, he knows his craft, and then we sat there afterwards and we're like, right, now let's cut this up. And so we ring him back 3 times, but that never happened. It was just one long continuous sort of rant that he did, but he mentioned dog walking, so we were like, oh my god, this is like perfect. He then mentioned mink, and then we were like, we set up that this guy owns mink. It's great. Let's get him in there, and then just kept bringing him back through the use of trickery and editing. So yeah. So anyway, so I sorry, to get back to your original question, to where we want to take it, I think was get more guest people on. I think it's nice to every now and again have a guest on there. This will be our third, which will be released this week, hopefully. But there'll be the third with a guest star in it. And not every week, but just every now and again have one of them. But I think, where do we think we're going to take the show, Al? I think we want to keep going with it. We want to build a sort of a fan base. That's the most important thing. You talk about Man by Cow, and they're trying to obviously monetize it, which is great, and that's something that we would like to do in order to put money into the show.
Yeah, I think only not because we want to make profit from it, but because we've been paying a guy to pre-edit before Mike edits, and that was.
Oh.
Are you there? Are you mate? Hello?
Oh.
Is Mike gone?
I don't know.
Is that me? Was it? Or was it
I think you went, yeah. Only because like Mike was saying, it takes 10 hours to edit. Even when we got a guy Mike would do like a rough cut, and then we'd pay someone to then cut the ums and ahs out of it for us. We were like paying for that, and then as well we pay Facebook advertising and stuff like that. It's only just to cover our costs and make things a bit easier, or more. Maybe we want to quit our jobs and do it full time like Adam Carolla does. Who knows? But just for now, if we could find a way to do that.
And I think if we could monetize it, I think we would probably go back and do more shows, so like one a week again, because we wouldn't be doing the editing, or we'd be paying someone to do the editing, or you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great to monetize it because it'd be a benefit to the show. But we understand that there's no point trying to monetize something until you've got a really good fan base that genuinely likes what you do and wants more content and everything that comes with that. You know, I think, you know, it'd be great to do some merch at some point.
Gary Barlow Shih Tzu t-shirt or something.
Yeah. Have you seen Gary Barlow's Shih Tzu?
I haven't, no. I think I stay clear of Gary Barlow for some reason. It's just the really dry.
What? Do you want to hear my Gary Barlow impression?
Go on in.
No, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm joking. Gary Barlow. Because he's slow at speaking. That's what it doesn't sound like him at all.
I really like that.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Gary Barlow. So there you are. So
I think
that's quite a nice guy.
Oh, I know.
Fantastic.
That's fun.
That's what he's
That.
Yeah. It's like the best. I think it was good when he was on the X Factor. To be honest, I just tuned in for him.
Do you think though? I mean, he was almost acting. You know, they said to you, "Well, Simon's gone. We really need you to be the bad."
Yeah.
That's why he left. I think.
Yeah, you couldn't have them because Simon was coming back. You couldn't have Simon and Gary together, could you? Who would walk a Shih Tzu? I mean,
oh dear.
Dear.
Well, are you looking to do anything like YouTube or anything like that later on?
We have sort of mentioned that, haven't we? We have sort of, I think, because we were taught, because Hamish and Andy do like animated versions of some of their sketches and stuff, and we said, you know, should we go on YouTube and just put some pieces out and then just cut to the faces? But because well, you go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think we've thought about that, and we'd love to do it. You know, the fact that you know, the animation, I think that'd be great. If we end up doing it where we're acting, I think that would also be great further down the line. Again, I think once you build that fan base, I think that sort of thing happens organically because they'll start to push you. You know, they'll be like saying, "Yeah, you know, can we?" So I think you'll know the time is right when that happens. But I think what we're very careful of is not to spread yourself too thin.
Yeah,
I think if we start trying to do YouTube, and again, we're coming back to like, you know, guys, people who are just starting out. If you know, it's great having all these ideas, but you know what? If you spread yourself too thin, you'll burn out and you won't do anything, and it'll stop. So we're a little bit careful to start doing those type of things. We've thought about it and we talked about it a lot, haven't we, Alex? Yeah. But I think let's keep the show. Let's work on the show and keep that good, and then that we'll know when the time's right. Because if people want it, then that's the time. I think when you go, let's do it.
And I think because we are both live almost 100 miles away from each other as well. Yeah, we'd have to take the time out to go if we were to record something together.
If we do an actual film of us, yeah.
So if we were, the only thing we could do would be. You would pretend that the characters have got like a vlog or something. So Cedric vlogs about dog walking, so you could kind of do that, and then you could ad lib that. So it would be like a to camera piece that we could do. But like you said, that would take the time out of writing. If we're scripting everything 100% now, that would take the time out of that you could be scripting. Then the main show would suffer, I think. So and then
exactly.
You'd have to then sort your outfits out for each character, so
and
that it doesn't
money comes into play then, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then because if it just looks like you, and because like Bob was just was me with a wig a woman's wig and some glasses, wasn't it, in a suit when we did the YouTube stuff. So then and then if you're it'd be something good to do, definitely. But
that's a good little thing. If anyone listening does want to see Al as Bob, it is out there on YouTube. Clips are there, and Sammy's there as well, and some other characters. So it is out there. But I think you're totally right. I think that will come. That sort of stuff, I think, is going to have to come if we can get like a Patreon page set up, or monetize it somehow, because we can't. We both sort of work for ourselves. We don't have the resources, and that's really time at the moment isn't there for us to be able to meet up and film, which we'd love to do. I think there's nothing. I think we have great fun when we do that. We haven't done it for a while, have we?
No. No. When you're at uni and you haven't got to have a job and you got a student loan, and a lot of
camera equipment.
We did have a job. One character that has been on the show once. I used to work in a call centre booking deliveries and stuff.
I did as well, didn't I?
Yeah, we both were. So I remember when we were doing. I'll get back to my original point in a minute, but when we were doing our training, where it was like a group training thing, and me and Mark were like, we live together. We work together. We're not gay. All these people, but I used to ring up this guy. Do you remember Trigger Happy TV? You might not, depending how old you are.
No,
do you remember it, Jack?
I don't know.
Oh, classic, mate. YouTube it. Yeah. But he had a character where he would pretend to be like German, and then so he'd translate stuff. So he'd have the translation book, and he'd go up to people and say, "I need to find a room to empty my bottom." So I would ring up this guy in the call centre and say, "Hello, my name is Bjorn van Buten. I am new in the call centre, and I need to find the room to empty my bottom." And then hang up and giggle and whatever. And then he told his supervisor that some German guy, it's meant to be Swedish, ringing up saying he wants to shove things up my bottom. Like, mate, that's not... I just need a toilet. Where's the toilet? In Swedish. But
he was in the same room, wasn't he? He was sort of over the way, so you'd sort of watch him as he was reacting to it.
But yeah, so I had that job. But then you've got like that started at 6 o'clock at night or something, and then you'd have like lectures a few and far between. You have so much time. Time was you had too much of it. So that's when.
Time is your oyster.
It is.
Is that the phrase?
I don't know, mate. Is that a joke or?
Yeah, it's what the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
We'll
So
move on.
But yeah, it's time. And when you're running a business as well, you put a lot of time and effort into that. Because obviously, when you're freelancing as well, the more time and effort you put in, the more money you get out as well. So. That's kind of where we're at in our.
So, is there anything else you would like to say before we end?
We better promote the show. We better promote the actual show. It's called 98 Problems. I don't know.
Yeah, what is the show? Yeah, 98 Problems. Probcast.
Yeah, it's a probcast. I don't know. We're just going to do a bit of self-promotion, but we're on Twitter at 98probs or 98problems.co.uk. What else have we got to add? Thank you, Jack, for having us on.
Yeah.
You're very welcome, actually. I've enjoyed having you on.
Thank you. And I think if you, listen to the show, but maybe listen to a later one, and then if you like it, go back and start at the beginning. And then there's not really there are jokes that you'll get if you've heard earlier ones, but there isn't really a storyline that goes with that. Would I be right in saying that, Mike? So that's fair.
Yeah, I think so. There's a few little nods throughout it that kind of, or a few little sort of storylines that build a little bit, but really just watch it. Just listen to the later ones, I think, because they are slicker. But then, if you like it, go back to the earlier ones. But I think that's what's got to say.
Well,
and we're not gay, but yeah, just like that. Not there's anything wrong with that. We are just not. I like cats.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hi, thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this one, you can click that annotation up there. That will take you to the latest and last video from my channel. And also, there is a podcast that you can download where I talk to awesome people with my co-host Justin Binder. You can go and click on that annotation down there. That will take you to the iTunes store where you can download it and subscribe to our channel there. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, you can do by clicking that big red subscribe button down there. Every subscription is appreciated. And of course, leave a comment and message us. I will get back to you. I might even create a video response just to you. So please do that. It's really awesome to hear from you. So thank you very much for subscribing and watching this video. Enjoy. Bye bye.